perfume but something worse. The scent of another woman in my own bedroom, mixed with the cologne I bought Trevor for his birthday. My hands shook as I stood in the doorway of our apartment at 3 in the afternoon on what should have been an ordinary Tuesday. I had left work early because of a migraine, never imagining that the pain in my head would be nothing compared to what was about to happen. I heard the laughter before I saw them. Female laughter I knew too well. My sister's laughter. The bedroom door was half open. I should have turned around. I should have left right then. But my feet moved forward like I was watching myself in a dream. Or a nightmare. Trevor and Candace were in my bed. In the bed where I slept every night. Where I had cried last month when I got passed over for a promotion. Where Trevor had held me and promised that everything would get better. Where he had made love to me just 3 days ago and whispered that I was his forever. They didn't even notice me at first. Candace was wearing my robe. My blue silk robe that Trevor gave me for Christmas. Her hair was messy and she was smiling at him in a way that made my stomach turn. Trevor was leaning against my headboard like he owned the place. Like this was normal. Like this was okay. You should have seen her face when Mom suggested she lose weight, Candace said, giggling. She actually thought Mom was trying to help her. Trevor laughed. Your sister is so naive. She believes everything everyone tells her. It's almost sad. I know, Candace replied, running her fingers through her hair. But it makes everything easier, doesn't it? She has no idea we've been together for almost a year. A year. A whole year. The room spun. My vision blurred. I must have made a sound because they both turned to look at me. The expressions on their faces were something I would never forget. Candace didn't look guilty. She looked annoyed that I had interrupted. Trevor just looked at me like I was a problem he needed to solve. Naomi, Trevor said, sitting up straight. You're home early. That was all he said. Not sorry. Not an explanation. Just stating the obvious like I had walked in on him doing paperwork instead of destroying our entire marriage. Get out, I whispered. Then louder, get out of my bed. Candace rolled her eyes. Actually rolled her eyes. Oh please. Don't be so dramatic. You're acting like this is some huge tragedy. You're my sister, I said, my voice breaking. You're my sister and you're in my bed with my husband. Technically, he's been mine longer than yours, Candace said, standing up and tightening the robe around her waist. My robe. We've been seeing each other since before your wedding. Trevor only married you because Mom and Dad said he should. Because you're the older sister and it looked better. The words hit me like physical blows. I looked at Trevor, praying she was lying. Praying this was some sick joke. But his face told me everything I needed to know. It's true, Trevor said, not even having the decency to look ashamed. We were going to wait until after the wedding to tell you, but then your dad offered to help with the down payment on this place if I went through with it. We needed the money. I couldn't breathe. The walls were closing in. My dad knew. Your whole family knows, Candace said, picking up her phone from the nightstand. My nightstand. Mom, Dad, even Aunt Ruth. Everyone agreed it was better this way. You got a husband, I got the man I actually love, and everyone got to keep up appearances. Win-win. Except for me, I said, tears streaming down my face now. What about me? Architected emotional narrative arc around familial betrayal themes. This is a strong opening hook showing the most unsettling part, the betrayal by husband, sister, and parents. I need to continue building this emotional intensity while keeping the language simple and direct. Let me continue with the rest of chapter 1. Trevor stood up, pulling on his jeans. Honestly, Naomi, you should be thanking us. You got to be married. You got to tell all your coworkers you had a husband. Without me, you'd still be alone. You're not exactly the type of woman men fight over. The cruelty in his voice was something new. Or maybe it had always been there and I had been too blind to see it. Too trusting. Too stupid. I want you out, I said, my voice steadier now. Both of you. Out of my apartment. Trevor laughed. Your apartment? Check the lease, sweetheart. My name is on it too. Actually, my name is first. If anyone is leaving, it's you. Trevor's right, Candace said, examining her nails. You should probably pack a bag. We were going to tell you this weekend anyway, but since you're here now, we might as well get it over with. Trevor and I are moving in together. Here. You need to find somewhere else to live. This is my home, I said, knowing even as I spoke that it didn't matter. The lease was in both our names. I couldn't force him to leave. I pay half the rent. Not anymore, Trevor said, crossing his arms. I'll cover your half. Consider it a parting gift. But you need to be gone by Friday. Pack your stuff and go. It's Tuesday, I said stupidly, like the day of the week mattered. Like anything mattered anymore. Then you better start packing, Candace said, walking past me without even looking at me. Oh, and Mom wants you to call her. She's upset that you're being difficult about this. I stood there in the doorway of my own bedroom, watching my sister walk through my living room like she owned it, watching my husband of 2 years pull on his shirt without a care in the world. And I realized that I had been living a lie. Everything I thought was real had been a performance. A cruel joke that everyone was in on except me. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my mother. Your sister told me you came home. Don't make a scene. Come over tonight so we can discuss this like adults. Bring wine. Not, are you okay? Not, I'm so sorry. Just an order to come over and bring wine. I walked into the bedroom, ignoring Trevor as he tried to say something. I pulled out a suitcase from under the bed and started throwing clothes into it. Toiletries. My important documents from the file cabinet in the closet. My laptop. My grandmother's jewelry box that Candace had always envied. Where are you going? Trevor asked, sounding almost concerned now. Almost. Somewhere you'll never find me, I said, zipping up the suitcase. Naomi, wait, he said, grabbing my arm. I jerked away from him. You're being childish. Your parents are going to be so disappointed. My parents knew, I said, looking him in the eye for the first time since I caught them. My parents knew you were cheating on me with my own sister and they said nothing. They helped you. So I don't care what my parents think anymore. I grabbed my purse, my suitcase, and walked out of the apartment. I didn't look back. I couldn't. If I looked back, I might fall apart right there in the hallway. My phone rang as I got to my car. My mother. I declined the call. She called again. I declined again. Then my father called. Declined. Then Candace. Declined. Then Trevor. I turned off my phone completely and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I couldn't stay there. Couldn't go to my parents' house. Couldn't go to anyone in my family. They had all known. They had all lied to me. For a year. Maybe longer. I ended up at a budget hotel near the highway. The kind of place that rented rooms by the hour and didn't ask questions. The clerk barely looked at me as I paid cash for 3 nights. The room was small and smelled like cigarette smoke, but it had a bed and a bathroom and a lock on the door. I sat on the edge of the bed and finally let myself cry. Really cry. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep inside, the kind that makes your whole body shake. I cried for the marriage that never existed. For the sister I thought I had. For the parents who chose appearances over their own daughter. For the life I thought I was building that turned out to be built on lies. My phone was still off. I was too afraid to turn it on. Too afraid to see how many messages they had sent. Too afraid that they would somehow track me down and force me to listen to more lies, more excuses, more explanations about why betraying me was actually good for everyone. The migraine that had sent me home early was now a full-blown explosion in my skull. I took some pain medicine from my purse and lay down in the dark. The ceiling had water stains. The air conditioner rattled. Traffic noise filtered through the thin walls. This was my life now. A cheap hotel room with all my belongings in a single suitcase. No husband. No sister. No parents. No home. 30 years old and starting over from less than zero. I closed my eyes and tried to sleep, but all I could see was Candace in my robe, Trevor in my bed, and the casual cruelty in their faces when they realized I had caught them. The way they didn't even pretend to be sorry. Tomorrow I would figure out what to do next. Tonight I would just survive. I turned my phone on the next morning and immediately regretted it. 63 messages. 41 missed calls. My phone buzzed continuously as more texts came through. My mother, you're being dramatic. Come home so we can fix this. My father, your sister is crying. You need to apologize to her. Apologize to her. I read that message 3 times to make sure I understood it correctly. My father wanted me to apologize to Candace for catching her in bed with my husband. Trevor, you made me look bad in front of your sister. We need to talk. Candace, Mom is so upset. Why do you always have to be the victim? Just accept that Trevor and I are in love and move on. There were more. So many more. Aunts and uncles and cousins I barely talked to, all telling me I was overreacting. That family is forever. That I should forgive and forget. That I was being selfish for not thinking about how this affected everyone else. Not one person asked if I was okay. Not one person said they were sorry. I deleted every message without responding. Then I blocked every single number. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely press the buttons on my phone, but I did it. Every family member. Every person who had known and said nothing. Blocked. I called my job and told them I had a family emergency and needed a few days off. My supervisor, Mrs. Patterson, told me to take all the time I needed. She was kind about it, which made me cry again. Kindness felt foreign now. The hotel room felt smaller on the second day. I needed to figure out a plan. I couldn't live here forever. I had some money in my checking account, but not much. Trevor and I had a joint savings account with about $8,000 in it. Money we had been saving for a down payment on a house. I logged into the bank website on my laptop, already knowing what I would find. The savings account was empty. Transferred out yesterday at 5 p.m. 4 hours after I caught them. Trevor had cleaned it out. Of course he had. I had $600 in my personal checking account. My next paycheck was 2 weeks away. I worked as a patient care coordinator at Memorial Hospital. The pay was decent but not great. Certainly not enough to afford a security deposit and first month's rent on a new apartment plus all the other expenses of starting over. My phone rang. An unknown number. I answered it without thinking. Naomi, it's your mother. Don't hang up. I should have hung up. I should have blocked this number too. But some small part of me still hoped she was calling to say she was sorry. That she had made a mistake. That she was on my side. Mom, I said quietly. You need to come home right now, she said, her voice sharp. Your father and I are very disappointed in you. Running away like a child. Blocking everyone. Do you know how embarrassing this is for us? Embarrassing for you? I asked, my voice rising. I caught my husband cheating on me with my sister in my own bed and you're worried about being embarrassed? Don't be so dramatic, my mother snapped. It's not like Trevor beat you or something serious. He just fell in love with someone else. These things happen. You're a grown woman. Act like one. He fell in love with my sister, I said, unable to believe we were having this conversation. My own sister. And you knew about it. You all knew. Of course we knew, my mother said, like this was obvious. Candace told us months ago. We thought it was better to let you have your little marriage and feel special while Trevor and Candace sorted out their feelings. We were trying to protect you. Protect me? I repeated, laughing without humor. By letting me live a lie? By helping my husband cheat on me? You're twisting everything, my mother said, her voice getting louder. Trevor is a good man. He makes good money. He has a future. Candace loves him. Real love. Not like whatever you two had. We were married, I said, my throat tight. I loved him. I thought he loved me. Well, he doesn't, my mother said bluntly. He loves your sister. And instead of being happy for her, you're making this all about you. Candace finally found someone who makes her happy, and you want to ruin it because you're jealous. I couldn't speak. I literally couldn't form words. Your father and I are very disappointed, my mother continued. We raised you better than this. Family is supposed to support each other, not turn their backs the moment things get difficult. I turned my back? I asked, finding my voice. I'm the one who turned MY back? Yes, my mother said firmly. Candace needs you right now. She's planning a life with Trevor and you're being selfish. The least you could do is sign the divorce papers quickly so they can move forward. Trevor said you took some of your things. You need to bring back anything that belongs to him. Everything I took is mine, I said, my voice cold now. And I'll sign the divorce papers when I'm ready. Tell Trevor to have his lawyer send them to me. You don't even have an address, my mother said, and I could hear the smugness in her voice. Where are you staying? That trashy hotel by the highway? Your Aunt Louise saw your car there. That place rents rooms by the hour, Naomi. What would people think? Of course someone had seen me. Of course they had reported back to my mother. I should have known I couldn't disappear, not in a city where my family knew everyone. I don't care what people think, I said. Well, you should, my mother replied. Because right now, people think you're being a bitter, jealous woman who can't let go. Trevor is telling everyone that you knew about him and Candace and that you agreed to step aside. He's making you look pathetic. He's lying, I said. Maybe, my mother said, her voice softening slightly. But his version sounds better, doesn't it? Come home, Naomi. Apologize to your sister. Let Trevor have the divorce without making it difficult. Then we can all move on and pretend this never happened. No, I said. No, my mother repeated like she couldn't believe I had said it. No, I said again, stronger this time. I'm not coming home. I'm not apologizing to Candace. I'm not making this easy for Trevor. And I'm not pretending that what you all did to me is okay. Then you're not welcome in this family, my mother said coldly. If you can't put family first, then you're not my daughter. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, waiting to feel something. sadness, anger, fear. But all I felt was empty, hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside me and left just a shell. My mother had disowned me for refusing to apologize to the people who betrayed me. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The absurdity of it all. The complete insanity of my family expecting me to be grateful that my husband had cheated on me. Expecting me to support my sister's relationship with my husband. Expecting me to just disappear quietly so they could all pretend to be normal. My phone buzzed. A text from Trevor. Your mom told me you're being difficult. Don't make me take you to court. Just sign the papers and give me back my half of everything. You can keep the car since it's in your name. I'm being generous here. Generous? He thought he was being generous by letting me keep the car that I paid for with my own money. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened a new browser window and started searching for apartments. Cheap apartments. Studio apartments. Anything I could afford on my own with $600 in 2 weeks until my next paycheck. Everything was too expensive. Even the worst places wanted first month, last month, and a security deposit. That was at least $3,000. Money I didn't have. I thought about taking out a loan, but my credit was tied to Trevor's. We had a joint credit card, joint accounts, joint everything. And I knew without checking that Trevor had probably already maxed out the credit card and tanked our credit score. I needed to separate my finances from his completely. I needed my own account, my own credit, my own everything. But that took time. Time I didn't have. My phone rang again. Another unknown number. Hello? I answered cautiously. Naomi, it's Candace. Don't hang up. I hung up. She called back. I let it ring. She called again from a different number. I blocked that one too. Then my phone died. The charger was back at the apartment. My apartment. The place I could never go back to. I sat in that hotel room for 3 days, barely eating, barely sleeping, trying to figure out what to do next. I had to check out on Friday morning. I had no plan. No place to go. No one to call. On Friday at 10 a.m., I packed up my suitcase, checked out of the hotel, and drove to the hospital. Not to work, but to sit in the parking lot and think. The hospital felt safe. Familiar. It was the only place that felt like mine anymore. Mrs. Patterson found me there at noon, crying in my car. Oh, honey, she said, knocking on my window. What happened? And for the first time since the entire nightmare started, someone asked if I was okay. Someone showed me kindness without wanting anything in return. I told her everything. About Trevor and Candace. About my parents. About being homeless with nowhere to go. I told her through tears and hiccups and probably not making much sense, but she listened. She didn't judge. She didn't tell me I was overreacting. She just listened. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I have a spare room. My daughter moved out last year and it's just been sitting empty. You can stay there until you figure things out. No rent. Just help with groceries and keep the place clean. I stared at her. Mrs. Patterson, I can't. Yes, you can, she said firmly. And you will. Nobody should be alone after what you've been through. Come on. Follow me to my house. And just like that, I had a place to stay. A small room with a bed and a dresser and a window that looked out onto a garden. It wasn't much, but it was safe. It was mine, at least for now. Mrs. Patterson made me dinner that night. Real food. She didn't ask questions. She just made sure I ate and showed me where everything was and told me to take as much time as I needed. You're going to be okay, she said before going to bed. It doesn't feel like it now, but you will. You're stronger than you think. I didn't believe her, but I wanted to. The divorce papers arrived 3 weeks after I moved into Mrs. Patterson's spare room. A process server showed up at the hospital during my lunch break and handed me a manila envelope in front of half my coworkers. Trevor was making sure everyone knew. I opened the envelope in my car, my hands shaking. The papers were what I expected. He wanted the apartment, the furniture, and everything we had purchased together. He claimed I had abandoned the marriage and left him. That I had refused to work on our relationship. There was no mention of Candace. No mention of the affair. Just legal words that made it sound like I had walked away from a perfectly good marriage for no reason. At the bottom, there was a note in Trevor's handwriting. Sign these and leave me alone. You got what you deserved. I sat in my car and stared at those words for a long time. What I deserved. Like being faithful and trusting made me deserve betrayal. Like loving someone with everything I had made me deserve to be thrown away. I didn't sign them. Not yet. I found a lawyer instead. A young woman named Simone who did free consultations and agreed to take payments. She looked over the papers and shook her head. He's trying to take everything, Simone said, making notes on a legal pad. And he's lying about the circumstances. Do you have any proof of the affair? They admitted it to my face, I said. But I didn't record it or anything. That's okay, Simone said. We can request documentation. Phone records, credit card statements. If he's been seeing your sister for as long as you say, there will be evidence. My parents know, I said. They'll probably testify for him. Let them, Simone said, her voice hard. Judges don't like families that gang up on one person. And they really don't like cheating spouses who try to gaslight their victims. We can fight this. I don't have much money, I admitted. I know, Simone said. But I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this because what he did makes me sick. We'll work out a payment plan. First thing we do is file a response. Then we freeze all joint accounts and make sure he can't touch anything else. For the first time in weeks, I felt a small spark of something like hope. Maybe I wasn't completely powerless. Maybe I could fight back. I worked double shifts whenever I could. Morning shift at the hospital, then picking up evening shifts in the emergency department doing admin work. Mrs. Patterson helped by packing me lunches and making sure I ate breakfast before my early shifts. She never asked for rent, but I started buying all the groceries and paying for utilities anyway. It was the least I could do. At night, I took online courses. Business management, accounting, computer skills. Anything that might help me get a better job, make more money, build a real future. I studied until my eyes burned and my head ached, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. Stopping meant thinking. Thinking meant remembering. And remembering hurt too much. My phone stayed mostly silent now that I had blocked everyone. But sometimes texts would come through from new numbers. Always my family, always telling me the same things. That I was being stubborn. That Candace and Trevor were happy together. That I needed to move on. That I was ruining everyone's lives by refusing to just disappear. I never responded. I just blocked the new numbers and kept going. 6 weeks after moving in with Mrs. Patterson, I got a promotion at work. Nothing huge, but it came with a pay increase and better hours. My supervisor said I had proven myself reliable and hardworking. She had no idea that work was the only thing keeping me sane. The pay increase was $3 more an hour. It didn't sound like much, but it meant an extra $400 a month. I opened a new bank account at a different bank from the one Trevor and I had used. This account was only in my name. Only I could access it. Every paycheck, I deposited the minimum into my old account to keep it open, and everything else went into the new one. I started saving. Really saving. Every extra dollar went into that account. No eating out. No new clothes. No treats or splurges. Just work, save, repeat. At night, when I wasn't studying, I looked at houses online. Not to buy them, not yet. But to dream. To have a goal. I looked at small houses with gardens. Houses with porches. Houses that could be mine, all mine, with no one able to take them away from me. You thinking about buying a house? Mrs. Patterson asked one evening, seeing me looking at listings on my laptop. Maybe someday, I said. Seems impossible right now. Nothing's impossible, she said, sitting down next to me. My ex-husband left me with nothing 30 years ago. Told me I'd never make it on my own. I was working at a grocery store making minimum wage with 2 kids to feed. But I saved every penny. Took me 5 years, but I bought this house. All by myself. Best feeling in the world. How did you do it? I asked. By not giving up, she said simply. By deciding that my ex was wrong about me. By proving to myself that I was worth more than what he said I was. You'll do it too. I can see it in you. You've got that same fire I had. I wanted to believe her. Some days I almost did. 3 months after I moved in, Trevor called from a new number. I didn't recognize it, so I answered. Naomi, it's me, he said. I should have hung up. But I didn't. What do you want? I asked. I want you to stop playing games, he said, his voice angry. My lawyer said your lawyer is asking for discovery. Phone records, financial records, all kinds of stuff. This was supposed to be simple. You cheated on me with my sister, I said. Nothing about this is simple. That's not what the paperwork says, Trevor replied. The paperwork says we grew apart. That you left. Sign it and let's be done with this. No, I said. No, he repeated. You can't say no. I'm giving you a clean divorce. No alimony, no fights over money. Just sign and go. You emptied our savings account, I said. You took everything. That's not a clean divorce. That's theft. That was my money, Trevor said. I earned most of it anyway. You barely contributed. I contributed half, I said, my voice shaking with anger. Every month. For 2 years. That was my money too. Fine, Trevor said. I'll give you $1,000. That's more than fair. Sign the papers. No, I said again. Why are you being so difficult? He demanded. Candace and I want to move forward with our lives. We want to get married. You're holding everything up. Good, I said and hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Control. He wanted something from me and I had the ability to say no. I didn't sign the papers. Simone advised against it. Make him sweat, she said. Make him produce those records. Let's see exactly what he's been hiding. The records came back 2 weeks later. Text messages between Trevor and Candace going back 18 months. Credit card charges at hotels. Gifts purchased. Restaurant bills. Everything documented, everything proven. Candace had lied. They hadn't started seeing each other a year ago. It had been longer. Much longer. Trevor had been cheating on me almost from the moment we got married. This changes things, Simone said, reviewing the documents. We can go after the savings account money. We can make him pay for your legal fees. We can make this very expensive for him. I don't want his money, I said. I just want him out of my life. Then let's make sure he has no choice but to leave you alone, Simone said. Sign nothing until we've secured everything you're entitled to. 4 months after the divorce papers were served, we reached a settlement. Trevor would give me $4,000 from the savings account. He would take the apartment and all the furniture. He would pay my legal fees. And we would both walk away with a clean break. It wasn't everything I deserved, but it was something. $4,000. It wasn't much, but added to what I had saved, it gave me options. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning in January. I sat in the courtroom while the judge signed the papers and made it official. Trevor wasn't even there. He had sent his lawyer to represent him. When it was over, I walked out of that courthouse a single woman, alone but free. No husband, no family, no past holding me back. I went back to work that afternoon and put in my hours. That evening, Mrs. Patterson made my favorite dinner without me asking. She knew what day it was without me having to tell her. How are you feeling? She asked. Free, I said. And I meant it. That night, I updated my savings goal. I had $4,000 from the settlement, plus $3,000 I had saved on my own. $7,000. Not enough for a house yet, but enough to start planning seriously. I calculated how much I could save each month with my new salary. I researched first-time homebuyer programs. I studied mortgage rates and neighborhood pricing. I made spreadsheets and plans and timelines. 18 months. If I kept saving at my current rate and didn't have any major emergencies, I could have enough for a down payment in 18 months. It seemed impossible. But Mrs. Patterson had done it. Other people had done it. Maybe I could too. I worked harder. I took extra shifts. I clipped coupons and shopped sales and made every dollar stretch as far as it could go. I stopped looking at social media completely, not wanting to see pictures of Trevor and Candace or hear about their life together. They didn't exist to me anymore. My coworkers became my friends. Real friends who invited me to dinners and movies and game nights. Who celebrated when I got small promotions and raises. Who loaned me their professional clothes for interviews when I started applying for better positions. 6 months after the divorce, I was offered a position as a patient care manager. Better pay, better hours, better benefits. I took it without hesitation. My savings account grew. Slowly at first, then faster as I got better at budgeting and saving. 10,000, 12,000, 15,000. I started looking at houses seriously. Small houses in quiet neighborhoods. Places I could afford on my own. Places that would be mine with no one able to take them away. 1 year after the divorce, I had $20,000 saved. Enough for a down payment. Enough to start looking seriously. Mrs. Patterson hugged me when I told her. I'm so proud of you, she said. You did it. You actually did it. I couldn't have done it without you, I said, meaning every word. Yes, you could have, she said. But I'm glad I could help. I started working with a real estate agent named Monica. She was patient and kind and understood that I was buying alone. She showed me houses in my price range and didn't judge when I fell in love with a small 3-bedroom house in a good neighborhood that was just barely within my budget. It needs some work, Monica said, walking through the house with me. New paint, new flooring, some updates in the kitchen. But it's solid. Good bones. And it's in your price range if you can get the seller down a little. I stood in the empty living room and imagined it full of my furniture. My books. My pictures. My life. A life I had built entirely on my own. I want it, I said. Then let's make an offer, Monica said with a smile. The negotiation took 2 weeks. Back and forth. Offers and counteroffers. I was terrified the seller would reject my bid. Terrified I couldn't actually do this. But then Monica called me at work with the news. They accepted, she said. The house is yours. I sat down at my desk and cried. Happy tears this time. Tears of relief and joy and disbelief that I had actually done it. Me. Alone. With no help from my family. With no husband. With nothing but my own hard work and determination and refusal to give up. I was buying a house. The mortgage process was terrifying. Mountains of paperwork. Credit checks. Employment verification. Tax returns. Every part of my financial life examined and questioned. I kept waiting for someone to tell me I wasn't good enough, that I couldn't do this, that I should give up. But nobody did. My credit was better than I expected. Apparently, separating my finances from Trevor's had protected me from whatever damage he had done to his own credit. The bank approved my loan without hesitation. 25 years at a fixed rate. The monthly payment was manageable if I was careful. The closing was scheduled for 3 weeks away. 3 weeks until the house was officially mine. I told Mrs. Patterson first. She cried happy tears and hugged me tight. I knew you could do it, she said. I knew it from the first day you showed up broken and lost. You had something in you. Something that wouldn't quit. Thank you, I said, crying too. For everything. For giving me a place to stay, for believing in me, for being the family I needed when I had none. You gave me purpose again, Mrs. Patterson said. After my daughter moved out, this house felt so empty. You filled it up. You reminded me why I fought so hard to keep it all those years ago. I didn't want to leave her, but I knew I had to. This was my next step. My future. My coworkers at the hospital threw me a surprise party. They had collected money and bought me a gift card to a furniture store. Jennifer from the ER had framed a photo of all of us from the Christmas party. Robert from admissions gave me a toolbox with a note that said, "Every homeowner needs good tools." "We're so proud of you," Jennifer said, hugging me. "You've been through hell and you came out fighting. That takes real strength." "I couldn't have done it without all of you," I said honestly. "You've been my family when I didn't have one." "You'll always have us," Robert said. "Even when you're a fancy homeowner." The 3 weeks felt like 3 years. I couldn't sleep. I kept having nightmares that something would go wrong, that the bank would change their mind, that the house would fall through, that I would wake up and realize it was all a dream. But the closing day came. I sat at a huge table in a lawyer's office and signed document after document. My hand cramped from writing my name so many times. Monica sat next to me, walking me through each page, making sure I understood everything. The seller was an elderly woman named Mrs. Chin who was moving to a retirement community. She seemed happy that a young woman was buying her house. "You take good care of it," she said when we finished signing. "I raised my children there. Had 40 good years in that house. It's full of love. I hope it brings you happiness." "Thank you," I said, my throat tight. "I'll take good care of it. I promise." When the last paper was signed and the keys were handed to me, I just stared at them. Small metal keys that represented everything I had worked for. Everything I had survived for. "Congratulations," Monica said, shaking my hand. "You're officially a homeowner." I walked out of that office in a daze. I sat in my car with the keys in my hand and just looked at them. My house. My keys. My future. All mine. I drove straight to the house, even though I had already seen it a dozen times. But this time was different. This time I unlocked the door with my own keys. This time I walked in as the owner. The house was empty except for Mrs. Chen's curtains, which she had left for me. The afternoon sun came through the windows and made patterns on the hardwood floor. The house smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I walked through each room slowly. The living room with its big windows. The kitchen that needed updates but had good counter space. The 3 bedrooms upstairs. The small bathroom that would need some work. The backyard with its old trees and overgrown garden. Was perfect. Was mine. I sat down on the floor in the empty living room and let myself feel everything. The relief. The pride. The joy of having done it entirely on my own. My phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Patterson. "How did it go?" "It's mine," I typed back. "I'm sitting in my house right now. My house. I'm bringing over champagne," she texted. "Be there in 20 minutes." True to her word, Mrs. Patterson showed up with champagne, plastic cups, and Chinese takeout. We sat on the living room floor and ate and drank and celebrated. "To new beginnings," Mrs. Patterson said, raising her plastic cup. "To new beginnings," I echoed, clinking my cup against hers. "You going to tell your family?" she asked carefully. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to call my mother and father and Candace and Trevor and tell them all that I had made it without them. That they had been wrong about me. That I was stronger than they thought. But another part of me knew that telling them would just open the door to more drama. More manipulation. More attempts to bring me down or make my success about them somehow. No, I said finally. They don't get to know. This is mine. They don't get to touch it. We sat there until the sun set and the house got dark. Then Mrs. Patterson helped me measure the rooms and make a list of what I would need. Furniture, curtains, lamps, kitchen supplies, bathroom supplies. The list was long and overwhelming. One thing at a time, Mrs. Patterson said, seeing my expression. You don't have to do it all at once. Start with the basics. A bed, a couch, a table. The rest will come. She was right. Over the next 2 weeks, I slowly moved in. I bought a used bed frame and mattress. A second-hand couch that was comfortable even though it didn't match anything. A small dining table with 2 chairs. Lamps from discount stores. Curtains on sale. My coworkers helped me move. They showed up on a Saturday morning with trucks and muscle and spent the day helping me carry my few belongings from Mrs. Patterson's house to mine. They helped me assemble furniture and hang curtains and organize my kitchen. This place has good energy, Jennifer said, looking around. I can tell you're going to be happy here. I already am, I said and meant it. The first night I slept in my own house, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared or sad, but because I was too excited. Too amazed that this was real. That I had done this impossible thing. I got up and walked through the house in the dark, touching the walls, looking out the windows, reminding myself that this was real. This was mine. No one could take it away from me. In the morning, I took a picture of my living room. Just one picture. The sun coming through the windows, my second-hand couch, my discount store lamps. Nothing fancy. But it was home. My home. I posted the picture on social media for the first time in over a year. No caption. No explanation. Just the picture of my living room. Then I turned off my phone and made myself breakfast in my kitchen. I had done it. Against all odds, against everyone who had said I would fail, against my own doubts and fears. I had done it. I was home. The house became my sanctuary. Every morning, I woke up in my own bed, in my own room, in my own house. No roommate. No landlord. No one who could tell me to leave. The feeling never got old. I spent my evenings and weekends making the house mine. I painted the living room a soft gray color. I painted the kitchen cabinets white and replaced the old hardware with new brushed nickel handles. I learned how to fix a leaky faucet from online videos. I planted flowers in the front yard and vegetables in the back. Every improvement, no matter how small, felt like a victory. Like I was building something real and permanent. Like I was creating a life that nobody could destroy. Mrs. Patterson visited often, bringing plants from my garden and advice on home maintenance. My coworkers stopped by for dinners and game nights. Slowly, my house filled with laughter and friendship and warmth. I had been living in the house for 2 months when my phone started ringing with blocked numbers. I didn't answer at first, but they kept calling. Over and over. Finally, I answered one. Hello. Naomi, it's Aunt Ruth. Don't hang up. I sighed. What do you want? Your mother asked me to call, Aunt Ruth said. She saw your post. The picture of your living room. I had forgotten about that post. I had turned off my phone right after and hadn't checked social media since. So, I asked. So she wants to know where you're living, Aunt Ruth said. She wants to come see you. She misses you, sweetie. We all do. No, I said flatly. Don't be like that, Aunt Ruth said, her voice taking on that sickly sweet tone that meant she was about to try to manipulate me. Family is family. Whatever happened between you and Trevor and Candace, it's time to move past it. Your mother is getting older. She doesn't want this distance between you. She chose the distance, I said. She chose Candace and Trevor over me. She told me I wasn't her daughter anymore. Remember? She was upset, Aunt Ruth said. She didn't mean it. You know how your mother is when she's emotional. I know exactly how she is, I said. Which is why I don't want her in my life. But family, Aunt Ruth started. You keep saying that word like it means something, I interrupted. Like it's a magic word that erases everything that happened. Family is supposed to protect each other, support each other, love each other. What you all did to me wasn't love. It was cruelty. We were trying to help, Aunt Ruth protested. We thought if we helped Trevor and Candace, then everyone could be happy. We didn't want to hurt you. Well, you did, I said. You all did. And now I'm happy without any of you. So please stop calling. Your mother just wants your address, Aunt Ruth said, her voice hardening now. She saw that you bought a house. She wants to know where it is. Why? I asked suspiciously. Because she's your mother, Aunt Ruth said, like that explained everything. Because she wants to see how you're living. Because she's worried about you being all alone. Tell my mother I'm fine, I said. Tell her I don't need her concern. And tell her she's not getting my address. You can't hide forever, Aunt Ruth said. I'm not hiding, I said. I'm living my life. Without you. Without her. Without any of you. I hung up. My hands were shaking. I knew I should have just kept my phone off. Should have never posted that picture. Should have known they would see it and use it as an excuse to try to worm their way back into my life. But I refused to hide. This was my house. My life. My happiness. They didn't get to make me feel bad about it. The calls kept coming. Different relatives. Different numbers. All saying the same things. That I was being stubborn. That I was hurting my mother. That family is forever. That I should forgive and forget. I blocked every number. But they kept finding new ways to contact me. Then the messages started on social media. People I barely knew, distant cousins and family friends, all sending me messages about how sad my parents were. How hurt Candace was. How I was tearing the family apart. I deleted my social media accounts. All of them. Facebook, Instagram, everything. Gone. If they wanted to find me, they would have to work a lot harder than that. 3 months after buying the house, I came home from work to find my mother sitting on my front porch. My heart dropped into my stomach. How did you find me? I asked, not getting out of my car. Your Aunt Louise drove around looking at new construction in your price range until she found your car, my mother said, standing up. She's been watching for it every day for 2 weeks. Of course she had. I should have known they wouldn't give up. You need to leave, I said, finally getting out of my car but staying near the street. This is a nice house, my mother said, looking at it. Better than I expected you could afford. How much did it cost? None of your business, I said. I'm your mother, she said. Everything about you is my business. No, I said firmly. It's not. Not anymore. You made it very clear that I'm not your daughter. So now you don't get to know anything about my life. I came to apologize, my mother said, but her voice didn't sound sorry. It sounded annoyed. I don't want your apology, I said. Just let me say what I came to say, my mother insisted, stepping down off the porch. I'm sorry that things happened the way they did. I'm sorry you got hurt. But it's time to move on, Naomi. It's been over a year. Candace and Trevor are married now. They're starting a family. We need to all move forward as one family. They got married? I asked, the words feeling strange in my mouth. I didn't care. Not really. But it still felt like another betrayal, another reminder of everything that had happened. 3 months ago, my mother said, a beautiful ceremony. You would have been invited if you hadn't been so stubborn about everything. I'm not stubborn, I said, anger rising in my chest. I'm standing up for myself. There's a difference. Candace wants to apologize too, my mother continued like I hadn't spoken. She feels terrible about everything. She wants to have a relationship with you again. No, I said flatly. She's pregnant, my mother said, and there it was. The real reason for this visit. She's 3 months along. She wants her sister there for the birth. She wants her child to know their aunt. I laughed. I couldn't help it. The audacity of it all. Let me get this straight. Candace slept with my husband while we were married. She helped destroy my marriage. She said terrible things to me. She showed no remorse. And now she's pregnant with his baby and she wants me to what? Throw her a baby shower? Buy gifts? Pretend like we're one big happy family? Yes, my mother said simply. That's exactly what we want. That's what family does. Then I guess we're not family, I said. Don't say that, my mother said, her voice sharp. You don't mean that. I mean it, I said. I bought this house by myself. I built this life by myself. I did all of it without any of you. I don't need you. And I don't want you in my life. You can't afford this house on your own, my mother said, looking at it again with narrowed eyes. Who helped you? Who loaned you money? Nobody, I said, pride swelling in my chest despite my anger. I saved every penny myself. I worked double shifts. I lived on nothing. I did it all on my own. My mother's expression changed. She looked almost angry. You're lying. Your salary isn't high enough to save that kind of money. I got promoted, I said. Twice actually. I'm a patient care manager now. I make good money. More than enough to afford this house. You got promoted? My mother repeated like she couldn't believe it. How? By working hard, I said. By showing up every day. By being good at my job. All the things you told me I couldn't do. I never said that, my mother protested. You said I wasn't good enough. I said, the memories flooding back. You said Trevor was lucky to have me because no other man would want me. You said I should be grateful he married me at all. You said I was too plain, too boring, too ordinary to ever amount to anything special. I was trying to motivate you, my mother said weakly. You were tearing me down, I said. Just like you always did. Just like you did to Candace until she became the golden child. Just like you do to everyone to control them. I don't control anyone, my mother said, her voice rising. I'm trying to hold this family together. You're the one breaking it apart. I'm not breaking anything, I said. I'm just not letting you break me anymore. We stood there in my front yard staring at each other. My mother looked older than I remembered. Tired. But still with that hard expression that said she was right and everyone else was wrong. Your father is disappointed in you, she said finally, playing what she thought was her trump card. I don't care, I said honestly. Dad made his choice when he stood by and let Trevor and Candace destroy my marriage. He doesn't get to be disappointed in me when he failed me first. We're still your parents, my mother said. You're the people who gave birth to me, I corrected. But you're not my family. Not anymore. You'll regret this, my mother said, her voice cold now. One day you'll need us and we won't be there. Good, I said. Because I don't need you now and I never will again. My mother stared at me for a long moment. Then she walked to her car without another word. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't ask to see the inside of my house. She just left. I watched her drive away, then went inside my house and locked the door. My hands were shaking. My heart was pounding. But I had done it. I had stood up to her. I had told her no. And the world didn't end. I called Mrs. Patterson and told her everything. She came over immediately with wine and ice cream. I'm so proud of you, she said, hugging me tight. You stood your ground. That takes real courage. I thought I would feel better, I admitted. But I just feel sad. That's normal, Mrs. Patterson said. You're grieving the family you wanted, not the family you had. That's okay. It's part of healing. We sat on my couch and talked until late. About families that hurt instead of help. About building new lives after betrayal. About how sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away. They're going to keep trying, Mrs. Patterson warned. Now that they know where you live. Let them try, I said. This is my house. My sanctuary. They're not welcome here. And I meant it. They didn't give up. The next week, Trevor showed up at my workplace. He didn't come inside, but he waited in the parking lot until I got off my shift. I saw him leaning against his car and my stomach dropped. Naomi, he called out as I tried to walk past him to my car. Wait, please. We have nothing to talk about, I said, not stopping. Your mom told me you bought a house, he said, following me. I just wanted to say congratulations. I turned to look at him. He looked the same. Same brown hair, same easy smile, same confident stance. But now when I looked at him, all I saw was the man who had destroyed my life without a second thought. Congratulations. I repeated. You want to congratulate me? Yeah, he said like this was a normal conversation. It's a big deal buying a house. I'm impressed you managed it. Why are you here, Trevor? I asked, unlocking my car. Candace wants to talk to you, he said. She's really hurt that you won't return her calls or messages. Good, I said flatly. Come on, Naomi, Trevor said, and now I could hear the annoyance in his voice. Don't be like this. What happened between us is in the past. Candace is pregnant now. She needs her family. I'm not her family, I said. Not anymore. Yes, you are, Trevor said, stepping closer. I stepped back. She's your sister. Blood is blood. You can't just pretend she doesn't exist. Watch me, I said, getting into my car. You know what your problem is? Trevor said, leaning down to speak through my window before I could close the door. You hold grudges. You can't let things go. That's why you'll always be alone. I'd rather be alone than be with people who treat me like garbage, I said, closing the door in his face and starting my car. He banged on my window, but I drove away. My hands were shaking so hard I had to pull over 2 blocks away to catch my breath. How dare he? How dare he show up at my job and act like he had any right to talk to me? Like he could just appear and I would fall in line and do whatever he wanted. I called security at the hospital and told them about Trevor. They added him to a do not allow list and assured me they would remove him if he showed up again. But Trevor wasn't done. He started calling my coworkers. Jennifer got a call at home. Robert got contacted on LinkedIn. Trevor was telling people that I was keeping him from his child, that I was trying to destroy his marriage to Candace, that I was mentally unstable and spreading lies about him. None of my coworkers believed him. They all knew what had happened. They all supported me. But it was humiliating to know that he was trying to ruin my professional reputation. I called Simone, my lawyer. She sent Trevor a cease and desist letter. He ignored it. Then Candace started showing up at my house. The first time, I pretended I wasn't home. The second time, I told her through the door to leave. The third time, I called the police. "I just want to talk to my sister," Candace said to the officers, tears streaming down her face. She was showing now, her pregnant belly visible under her shirt. "She won't answer my calls. I don't understand why she's being so cruel." "Ma'am, the homeowner has asked you to leave," the officer said patiently. "You need to respect that." "But she's my sister," Candace said, crying harder now. "I'm pregnant. I need her." "You should have thought about that before you slept with her husband," I said through the door, unable to stay silent. The officer looked uncomfortable. "Ma'am, you need to leave the property," he said to Candace. "If you come back, you'll be charged with trespassing." Candace left, but not before leaving a long letter on my doorstep. I threw it away without reading it. My father started calling from different numbers. When I blocked him, he started emailing me at my work email. Long emails about family obligation and forgiveness and how disappointed he was in me. I set up an email filter that sent his messages directly to trash. But the worst came from people I barely knew. Extended family members. Old family friends. People who had been fed lies by my parents and Trevor and Candace. They sent messages saying I was cruel, heartless, a bad person who was tearing a family apart. Some of the messages were nasty, telling me I deserved to be cheated on, that no wonder Trevor left me, that I was bitter and jealous and needed therapy. I blocked them all, but the messages kept coming. Different platforms, different accounts, always the same theme. I was the villain. They were the victims. One night, I came home to find my front door had been egged. White and yellow yolk dripped down my door and onto my porch. It smelled terrible. I cleaned it up, installed security cameras, and called the police. They took a report but said without video evidence of who did it, there wasn't much they could do. The next week, someone slashed 2 of my tires while I was at work. The security cameras at the hospital caught Trevor doing it. I had him arrested. He spent one night in jail before Candace bailed him out. She called me from his phone, screaming about how I was trying to destroy their lives, about how I was jealous of their happiness, about how I was a terrible person for pressing charges against the father of her unborn child. I hung up and blocked the number. Trevor was charged with vandalism and harassment. He had to pay for my tires and was ordered to stay away from me and my property. But it didn't stop my family. My mother started posting on social media. Long posts about how her daughter had abandoned her family, how she was heartbroken, how she didn't know where she went wrong. She never mentioned my name, but everyone knew who she was talking about. People, my mother, saying what a shame it was that I had turned my back on my family. Some remembered me and sent me messages asking what happened, offering their sympathy when I told them the truth. But others just believed my mother's version. I deactivated the last remaining social media account I had. I was done trying to defend myself. Done trying to make people understand. If they believed my mother without ever asking for my side, then they weren't people I needed in my life anyway. Mrs. Patterson was furious on my behalf. "They're not going to stop," she said. "They're trying to bully you into giving in." "I know," I said, "but I'm not giving in. This is my life. They don't get to control it anymore." "You might need to get a restraining order," Mrs. Patterson suggested. "Against my whole family?" I asked, laughing without humor. "If that's what it takes," she said seriously. I thought about it, really thought about it. But a restraining order felt like giving them power over me, like they were important enough to warrant legal action. I decided to just keep blocking and ignoring and living my life. 4 months after buying my house, I was working in my garden when a car pulled up. A man I didn't recognize got out and walked up to me. "Naomi?" he asked. "Who's asking?" I said, standing up and holding my gardening shovel defensively. "I'm Jeff, Candace's brother-in-law," he said. "Trevor's brother. I just wanted to talk to you for a minute." "No," I said. "Get off my property." "I'm not here to cause trouble," Jeff said, holding up his hands. "I just wanted to say that I'm sorry for what my brother did to you. It wasn't right. What he did with Candace, it wasn't right. Our whole family knows it. I stared at him, surprised. Then why are you here? Because Trevor asked me to come talk to you, Jeff admitted. He wants you to drop the charges from the tire slashing. He says it was a mistake, that he was angry and not thinking clearly. He's worried it will affect his job. It should affect his job, I said. He committed a crime. I know, Jeff said. And I told him he deserves whatever happens. But Candace is pregnant and she's scared that Trevor might lose his job and then they won't be able to afford the baby. That's not my problem, I said. I know, Jeff said again. And I don't blame you. I wouldn't drop the charges either if I were you. But I told Trevor I would ask. So I'm asking. Will you consider it? No, I said. Your brother destroyed my marriage. He stole from me. He slandered me to my coworkers. He vandalized my property. And now he wants me to make his life easier? No. Jeff nodded. I understand. For what it's worth, I think you're right. Trevor needs to face the consequences of his actions. I'm sorry he dragged you into his mess. He left after that. At least he had been respectful. But the incident made me realize something. My family and Trevor weren't going to stop. They were going to keep pushing and manipulating and trying to wear me down until I gave in. So I made a decision. I documented everything. Every text from a blocked number. Every email from my father. Every message from relatives and friends. Every time someone showed up at my house or my work. Every instance of vandalism or harassment. I took all of it to Simone. I want a restraining order, I said. Against all of them. Trevor, Candace, my parents, anyone who keeps trying to contact me. Simone looked over my documentation. Page after page of harassment. This is enough, she said. More than enough. We can file this tomorrow. Will it work? I asked. If they violate it, they can be arrested, Simone said. That usually makes people think twice. Good, I said. I want my life back. I want to stop looking over my shoulder. I want to stop worrying about who's going to show up at my house or my job. I want them out of my life permanently. Then let's make that happen, Simone said. We filed for restraining orders against Trevor, Candace, and my parents. The judge granted them based on the evidence of ongoing harassment. They were served the next week. My mother called from a new number, screaming about how I had humiliated the family. About how everyone was talking about it. About how I was dead to her. You said that already, I said calmly. But this time it's legal. Don't contact me again. I hung up and blocked the number. For the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Peace felt strange at first. I kept expecting something to go wrong. Kept expecting my family to show up anyway or find some new way to get around the restraining orders. But weeks passed and nothing happened. I could finally relax in my own home. Could work in my garden without watching the street. Could go to work without worrying who might be waiting in the parking lot. Life became normal. Beautifully, wonderfully normal. I focused on my house. I renovated the upstairs bathroom, replacing the old fixtures with new ones. I painted the spare bedrooms. I filled my home with plants and books and comfortable furniture. Every room became exactly what I wanted it to be. My coworkers noticed the change in me. You seem happier, Jennifer said one day over lunch. Like a weight has been lifted. It has, I said. I feel like I can finally live my life without looking over my shoulder. You deserve that, Jennifer said. You deserve peace. On a Saturday in late spring, Jennifer invited me to a community garden event at a local park. I almost said no. After everything with my family, I had become protective of my time and space. But Jennifer had been such a good friend and I was trying to say yes to things more often. The event was bigger than I expected. Dozens of people milling around garden plots, planting vegetables and flowers, sharing tips and tools. There was a cheerful energy to it, people working together to create something beautiful. I was planting tomatoes in a community plot when a man appeared next to me with a watering can. Those tomatoes look thirsty, he said with a smile. I looked up and actually caught my breath. He was tall with dark skin and warm brown eyes. He had an easy smile and long fingers that looked comfortable holding the watering can. They probably are, I said, smiling back. I'm new to this. I might be killing them with kindness. He laughed. Tomatoes are forgiving. They'll survive enthusiastic watering. He held out his hand. I'm Isaiah. Naomi, I said, shaking his hand. His grip was warm and gentle. First time at one of these events? Isaiah asked, kneeling down to help me with the plants. Yes, I admitted. My coworker Jennifer dragged me here. She said I needed to get out more. Jennifer is wise, Isaiah said. Community gardens are good for the soul. There's something healing about putting your hands in the dirt and growing something from nothing. He helped me finish planting my row of tomatoes, offering advice on spacing and depth. He was patient and kind, never making me feel stupid for my beginner questions. What do you do when you're not volunteering at community gardens? I asked. I'm an architect, Isaiah said. I design buildings, but I like working with living things on the weekends. Reminds me that not everything has to be concrete and steel. That's beautiful, I said, meaning it. We worked side by side for the rest of the afternoon. He told me about the buildings he designed, about his love of creating spaces where people felt safe and happy. I told him about my job at the hospital, about helping patients navigate the healthcare system. You have a good heart, Isaiah said. Not everyone wants to spend their days helping people at their most vulnerable. I like helping people, I said simply. It feels good to make someone's day a little bit easier. When the event ended, Isaiah walked me to my car. Will you be back next month? He asked. They do this the third Saturday of every month. Maybe, I said, surprised to realize I meant it. I hope you do, Isaiah said. It was nice to meet you, Naomi. It was nice to meet you too, I said. I drove home with a strange feeling in my chest. Something light and fluttery. Something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hope maybe. Or the beginning of something new. I went back to the community garden the next month. And the month after that. Isaiah was always there, working on different plots, helping different people. We fell into an easy friendship. He taught me about companion planting and soil composition. I taught him about the different plants I was growing in my own garden at home. Our conversations expanded beyond gardening. We talked about books and movies and places we wanted to travel. He told me about growing up in a big family that still got together for Sunday dinners. I kept my past vague, just saying I was estranged from my family. He didn't push for details. Family is complicated, Isaiah said one afternoon as we were building a trellis for climbing beans. Some people are blessed with good ones. Others have to create their own. I'm creating my own, I said quietly. That takes courage, Isaiah said, looking at me with those warm brown eyes. A lot of people stay in toxic situations because they're scared of being alone. You chose yourself. That's brave. Nobody had ever said that to me before. That leaving had been brave. Everyone else had said I was selfish, cruel, unforgiving. But Isaiah saw it differently. He saw strength where others saw weakness. Thank you, I said, my throat tight with emotion. For what? Isaiah asked. For understanding, I said. 4 months after we first met, Isaiah asked if I wanted to get coffee after the garden event. We went to a small cafe nearby and talked for 3 hours. He told me about his failed engagement 5 years ago, about how his fiancée had left him for his best friend, about how he had to rebuild his life and learn to trust again. I'm sorry that happened to you, I said. I'm not, Isaiah said. Not anymore. It taught me what I didn't want, and it showed me who my real friends were. The ones who stood by me were worth keeping. The ones who disappeared weren't. That's a healthy way to look at it, I said. It took time, Isaiah admitted. For a while I was angry and bitter. But eventually I realized that holding on to anger was just hurting me. She was off living her life and I was stuck in the past. So I let it go. How? I asked. How do you just let go of something that hurt you so much? You decide that your future is more important than your past, Isaiah said. You decide that you deserve better than to carry around all that pain. And then you take it one day at a time. We started seeing each other outside of the garden events. Coffee dates turned into dinner dates. Dinner dates turned into long walks in the park. We took things slow, both of us cautious from our past hurts. Isaiah never pushed for information about my family. Never asked why I didn't talk to them. He just accepted that part of my life was closed off and respected that boundary. Thank you for not asking, I said one evening as we were walking through my neighborhood. You'll tell me when you're ready, Isaiah said simply. Or you won't. Either way is fine. Your people want to know everything, I said. I'm not most people, Isaiah said with a smile. I'm interested in who you are now. The past made you who you are, but it doesn't define you. 6 months after we met, Isaiah came over to my house for the first time. I was nervous showing him my space, this sanctuary I had built from nothing. But he walked through each room with genuine appreciation. This is beautiful, he said, standing in my living room. You can feel the love you put into it. Every detail is intentional. This is a home, not just a house. Thank you, I said, blushing. It's my favorite place in the world. I can see why, Isaiah said. It's peaceful here. Say, like you created your own little paradise. We cooked dinner together in my kitchen. He was handy with a knife and made me laugh with stories about cooking disasters from his bachelor days. We ate on my back porch, watching the sunset and talking about nothing and everything. I like spending time with you, Isaiah said as the sky turned dark. I like spending time with you too, I admitted. Can I be honest with you about something? Isaiah asked. Always, I said. I'm falling for you, Isaiah said, looking at me with those warm brown eyes. I know we're taking things slow and I respect that, but I wanted you to know. My feelings are real. My heart pounded. Part of me wanted to run. Part of me wanted to protect myself from ever being hurt again. But another part of me, the brave part, wanted to take the risk. I'm falling for you too, I said quietly. It scares me, but it's real. We'll take it at your pace, Isaiah said, reaching across the table to hold my hand. No pressure. No expectations. Just us figuring this out together. Okay, I said, squeezing his hand. Together. That night, after Isaiah left, I sat on my porch and thought about how far I had come. A year and a half ago, I had been broken and alone with nothing but a suitcase and $600. Now I had a house, a career, real friends, and someone who made me feel valued and respected. I had built a life worth living. A life I had created entirely on my own, and with someone who appreciated it. For the first time in my entire life, I felt whole. I should have known the peace wouldn't last. It was a Sunday afternoon in early fall. Isaiah and I were in my kitchen making soup, laughing about something silly, when there was a loud knock on my front door. I froze. Isaiah noticed immediately. You okay? He asked. I don't know who that could be, I said, moving toward the door cautiously. Through the peephole I saw them. All of them. My mother, my father, Trevor, and Candace. Candace was very pregnant now, her belly huge under her coat. My blood ran cold. Don't open it, Isaiah said quietly, somehow understanding without being told. But my mother was already yelling through the door. Naomi, open this door right now. We need to talk to you. Go away, I called through the door. You have restraining orders. You're not supposed to be here. Those restraining orders are ridiculous, my father said. We're your family. We have a right to talk to you. No, you don't, I said. Leave or I'm calling the police. Just give us 5 minutes, my mother said, her voice taking on that pleading tone that used to make me feel guilty. Candace is about to have her baby. She wants you there. She needs you. I don't care, I said, pulling out my phone. You're really going to call the cops on your own family? Trevor asked through the door. That's low even for you. You slashed my tires, I said. Don't talk to me about low. That was a mistake, Trevor said. I was angry. I apologized. No, you didn't, I said. You never apologized. You just wanted me to drop the charges. Isaiah stood behind me, his presence solid and reassuring. He didn't say anything, just stayed close, letting me handle it but making it clear I wasn't alone. Who's in there with you? My mother demanded. We saw a man's car in your driveway. Are you seeing someone? That's none of your business, I said, dialing 911. It is our business, my father said. If you're bringing men around, we have a right to know. What if he's dangerous? I almost laughed at that. They were worried about Isaiah being dangerous when they had spent months harassing me. The police arrived within 10 minutes. 2 officers, the same ones who had dealt with Candace before. Ma'am, the officer said to my mother, you have a restraining order. You're not supposed to be within 500 feet of this property. She's our daughter, my mother said, turning on the tears. We just want to talk to her. Is that so wrong? When there's a restraining order, yes, the officer said firmly. All of you need to leave now. This is ridiculous, Trevor said. She's keeping a grandmother from her grandchild. That's cruel. The baby isn't born yet, I said from behind my closed door. And even when it is, I won't be its grandmother. I'm not part of this family anymore. You'll always be part of this family, my mother said, reaching toward the door. The officer gently but firmly moved her back. Ma'am, you need to leave, he said. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'll have to arrest you for violating the restraining order. You're going to arrest a grandmother? Candace said, starting to cry. I'm pregnant. I just want to see my sister. You should have thought about that before you slept with her husband, Isaiah said from behind me. Everyone went silent. My mother's mouth fell open. My father looked shocked. Trevor's face turned red. Who are you? My mother demanded. Someone who respects Naomi, Isaiah said calmly. which is more than any of you have ever done. You don't know anything about us, my father said. I know enough, Isaiah said. I know you all violated a restraining order to come here and harass her. I know you're trying to manipulate her with guilt. And I know she's better off without you. How dare you, my mother started, but the officer interrupted. Everyone needs to leave now, he said, or you'll all be arrested. They left, but not before my mother turned to shout one last thing through the door. This isn't over, Naomi. You can't hide from family forever. After they were gone and the police had taken statements and left, I stood in my living room shaking. I'm sorry, I said to Isaiah. I'm so sorry you had to see that. Don't apologize, Isaiah said, pulling me into a hug. I'm sorry they put you through that. You stood up for me, I said, my voice muffled against his chest. Of course I did, Isaiah said. They were wrong. Everything about what they did was wrong. I started crying then. Not sad tears, but angry tears. Frustrated tears. Tears that I had been holding in since they showed up at my door. Why won't they just leave me alone? I asked. Why do they keep trying to force their way back into my life? Because they can't accept that you don't need them anymore, Isaiah said. Because your independence threatens their idea of how things should be. Because controlling you made them feel important, and now you've taken that power away. I just want them to disappear, I said. They will, Isaiah said. Eventually they'll realize you mean it and they'll move on. Or they'll get in legal trouble and have to stop. Either way, they'll leave you alone eventually. How do you know? I asked. Because you're stronger than they are, Isaiah said. And they know it. That's why they're so desperate. We spent the rest of the evening on my couch, not talking much, just being together. Isaiah stayed until late, making sure I was okay before he left. Call me if anything else happens, he said at the door. Anytime. Day or night. Thank you, I said. For everything. For being here. For understanding. Always, Isaiah said, kissing my forehead gently. After he left, I checked all my locks twice. Rechecked the security camera footage. Made sure everything was secure. But I knew it didn't matter. If my family wanted to find a way to get to me, they would. The next day at work, my supervisor called me into her office. Naomi, I need to talk to you about something. My stomach dropped. What is it? We got a call from someone claiming to be your mother, she said carefully. She said you're having a mental health crisis and that we should be concerned about your stability. That's not true, I said immediately. My mother and I are estranged. She's been harassing me. I have restraining orders against my family. I know, my supervisor said. I told her that we had no concerns about your performance and that she should not contact this office again. I just wanted you to know it happened. Thank you, I said, relief washing over me. I'm sorry she's bringing this to my workplace. Don't be sorry, my supervisor said. You're not responsible for their behavior. But I wanted you to be aware in case she tries something else. She did try something else. Over the next 2 weeks, my mother called every number associated with me. My dentist, my insurance company, my mortgage lender. She told them all the same story. That I was mentally unstable. That I had abandoned my family. That I needed help. Each time I had to explain the situation. Show documentation of the restraining orders. Prove that I was fine and that she was the one harassing me. It was exhausting. Humiliating. And exactly what she wanted. She wanted to make my life difficult. She wanted to punish me for daring to cut her out of my life. But I didn't break. I documented everything. Sent copies to Simone. Built an even stronger case against them. We can file for contempt of court, Simone said. They're clearly violating the spirit of the restraining order even if they're not physically near you. Do it, I said. I want this to stop. But before we could file, something happened that changed everything. Trevor got fired from his job. The criminal charges from slashing my tires had finally caught up with him. His employer had a zero-tolerance policy for violent crimes, even misdemeanors. And apparently he and Candace blamed me. The message came through on social media from an account I didn't recognize. The profile picture was blank. The message was from Candace. I hope you're happy. Trevor lost his job because of you. We have a baby coming in 3 weeks and no income. You're destroying our family. I hope you can live with yourself. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me, the old me, felt guilty. Felt like maybe I should help somehow. But the new me, the stronger me, knew better. I screenshot the message, sent it to Simone, and blocked the account. This is good evidence, Simone said when I called her. It shows continued harassment and attempts to blame you for the consequences of his actions. We'll add it to the contempt filing. They're not going to stop, are they? I asked. Not until they face real consequences, Simone said. But we're building a case that will make it impossible for them to keep this up. Trust the process. 3 days later, my father showed up at the hospital. Not inside, but in the parking lot, waiting by my car. Security escorted him off the property before I even knew he was there. He said he just wanted to talk to you, the security guard told me. Said it was urgent. I told him he needed to leave or I'd call the police. Thank you, I said, my hands shaking as I unlocked my car. The guard walked me to my car and watched me drive away. I called Isaiah from the road. They showed up at my work again, I said. I'm coming over, Isaiah said immediately. Are you home yet? Almost, I said. He was at my house before I was, waiting in his car in my driveway. I felt safer just seeing him there. We went inside and he made me tea while I called the police to report my father's violation of the restraining order. They said they would add it to the record but couldn't arrest him unless he was caught in the act. This is never going to end, I said, sitting at my kitchen table with my head in my hands. Yes, it will, Isaiah said firmly. They're escalating because they're desperate. That means they're running out of options. This is the storm before the calm. How do you know? I asked. Because I've seen this pattern before, Isaiah said. My ex and her new boyfriend tried something similar after we split. They couldn't accept that I had moved on and was happy without them. They escalated until they crossed a line and faced real consequences. Then they stopped. What line did they cross? I asked. They showed up at a project site where I was working and caused a scene in front of my clients, Isaiah said. Threatened my professional reputation. I got a restraining order and pressed charges for harassment. They backed off real quick when they realized I wasn't going to tolerate it. So I just have to keep standing firm, I said. Exactly, Isaiah said. You're doing everything right. Don't give them an inch. Don't respond to their messages. Don't engage. Just document and report and let the legal system handle it. That night, Isaiah stayed over for the first time. Not because we were taking that step in our relationship, but because he didn't want me to be alone. He slept on my couch while I slept in my bed, but knowing he was there made me feel safe. In the morning, we had breakfast together in my kitchen. It felt domestic and sweet and normal in a way I hadn't experienced in years. Thank you for staying, I said. You don't have to thank me, Isaiah said. I care about you. I want you to feel safe. I do, I said. When you're here, I do. 2 weeks later, Candace had her baby. I found out through a message from an aunt who hadn't gotten the memo about not contacting me. Your sister had a beautiful baby girl. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. They named her Lillian. Your mother is heartbroken that you're not there to meet your niece. I blocked the number and deleted the message. I felt nothing. No curiosity about the baby. No guilt about not being there. Just nothing. That baby wasn't my niece. Candace wasn't my sister. Not anymore. Isaiah found me staring at my phone. Everything okay? Candace had her baby, I said. How do you feel about that? Isaiah asked carefully. Nothing, I said honestly. I feel nothing. Does that make me a bad person? No, Isaiah said firmly. It makes you someone who has established healthy boundaries. My mother thinks I should care, I said. Your mother thinks a lot of things that aren't true, Isaiah said. What matters is what you think, what you feel. And if you feel nothing, that's okay. A week after the baby was born, my mother tried a new tactic. She sent a lawyer letter demanding grandparents' rights. She doesn't have a case, Simone said when I showed her the letter. Grandparents' rights are for when a parent is keeping grandparents from children they've had a relationship with. You have no relationship with this child. You've never even met her. This is just intimidation. It's working, I admitted. I'm scared. Don't be, Simone said. We'll respond with our own letter outlining all the harassment, the restraining orders, everything. No judge is going to grant grandparents' rights to someone who has been stalking and harassing their child. She was right. The lawyer dropped the case after receiving Simone's response. But my family didn't stop. They started showing up at my church. I had started attending a small congregation near my house, finding peace in the community and the quiet Sunday mornings. But after my parents showed up and caused a scene, the pastor had to ask them to leave. I'm so sorry, I told the pastor afterward. I didn't mean to bring trouble to the church. You didn't bring trouble, the pastor said kindly. They brought trouble. You're welcome here anytime. They are not. They tried showing up at Isaiah's workplace, but his company had tight security and they were turned away immediately. Isaiah got a restraining order against them after that. They're making this worse for themselves, Isaiah said. Every violation, every attempt to get around the orders, it all builds the case against them. I just want them to stop, I said. They will, Isaiah promised. Soon. He was right again. The contempt of court hearing was scheduled for 3 months after the baby was born. Simone presented all the evidence. The messages, the workplace visits, the attempts to contact me through third parties, the lawyer letter, everything. The judge was not impressed. I've seen the pattern here, the judge said, looking at my family over his reading glasses. This is systematic harassment of the respondent by multiple family members acting in concert. The restraining orders were clear. You violated them repeatedly. But she's our daughter, my mother started. She's an adult who has made it clear she does not want contact with you, the judge interrupted. You don't have a right to force yourself into her life. The restraining orders are extended for another year. If you violate them again, you will face jail time. Do I make myself clear? Yes, Your Honor, my father said quietly. My mother said nothing, just glared at me. After the hearing, Simone turned to me with a smile. That's it. They know now that there are real consequences. They'll stop. You really think so? I asked. I know so, Simone said. The threat of jail time is real. They won't risk it. She was right. After the hearing, the harassment stopped. No more surprise visits. No more calls from new numbers. No more messages through third parties. Just silence. At first, I didn't trust it. I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. But days turned into weeks and weeks turned into months and they stayed away. They finally got the message, Isaiah said one evening as we were cooking dinner in my kitchen. It had become our routine. He came over after work most days and we cooked together, talking about our days and making plans for the weekend. I think they did, I said, feeling lighter than I had in years. I think it's really over. How does that feel? Isaiah asked. Free, I said. Peaceful. Like I can finally breathe without looking over my shoulder. Good, Isaiah said, kissing my forehead. That's exactly how you should feel. That night, sitting on my back porch with Isaiah, watching the stars come out, I realized something important. I had won. Not because I had destroyed them or gotten revenge, but because I had refused to let them destroy me. I had built a life they couldn't touch. A home they couldn't enter. A happiness they couldn't steal. And that was the best revenge of all. 1 year after buying my house, I threw a party. Not a big party, just the people who mattered. Mrs. Patterson, my co-workers from the hospital, Monica, my real estate agent, Simone, my lawyer, and Isaiah, of course. I spent days preparing. I cleaned every room until it sparkled. I planted new flowers in the garden. I made food and set up tables in the backyard. I wanted everything to be perfect. You know they're coming for the company, not the decorations, Isaiah said, helping me hang string lights in the backyard the night before. I know, I said, but this matters to me. This house, this life, these people. I want to celebrate it properly. Then we'll make it perfect, Isaiah said with a smile. The party was exactly what I needed. Everyone showed up with food and drinks and stories. Mrs. Patterson brought a cake that said, Home Sweet Home in pink frosting. Jennifer and Robert brought a photo album they had made of all our hospital adventures over the past 2 years. Monica brought a bottle of champagne. To celebrate your investment paying off, Monica said with a wink. Your house has already increased in value by 15%. Really? I asked, surprised. Really, Monica said. You picked a good neighborhood at the right time. If you ever decide to sell, you'll make a nice profit. I'm never selling, I said firmly. This is my forever home. Simone arrived late, apologizing for being held up at court. She handed me an envelope. What's this? I asked. Open it, Simone said. Inside was a notice that the restraining orders against my family had been permanently upheld. They had made no attempts to contest them or request modifications. They've given up, Simone said. It's official. They can't contact you ever again without facing serious legal consequences. I hugged her, tears in my eyes. Thank you. For everything. For fighting for me when I didn't think I was worth fighting for. You were always worth it, Simone said. You just needed someone to remind you of that. As the sun set and the string lights came on, creating a warm glow over my backyard, I looked around at all these people who had become my chosen family. Mrs. Patterson laughing with Jennifer. Robert trying to teach Simone his terrible dance moves. Monica taking pictures of the garden to show her other clients. And Isaiah standing next to me, his hand in mine, looking at me with those warm brown eyes that made me feel safe and valued and loved. "Thank you for coming into my life," I said to him quietly. "Thank you for letting me in," Isaiah replied. "I know it wasn't easy for you to trust again." "You made it easy," I said honestly. "You've been patient and kind, and you've never pushed me for more than I was ready to give. Because you're worth the wait," Isaiah said. "And because I want this to be real, not rushed." "It is real," I said. "More real than anything I've ever had before." "Good," Isaiah said, pulling me closer. "Because I'm not going anywhere." As the party went on around us, Isaiah and I stood in my backyard under the string lights, and I realized something profound. I was happy. Truly, deeply, completely happy. Not because I had gotten revenge on the people who hurt me. Not because they were suffering or missing out on my life. But because I had built something beautiful from the ashes of my old life. I had a home I loved. A career I was proud of. Friends who felt like family. And someone who saw me for who I truly was and loved me anyway. 2 weeks after the party, Isaiah asked me something important. We were sitting on my front porch on a Saturday morning, drinking coffee and watching the neighborhood come to life. "I've been thinking," Isaiah said carefully, "about us. About the future." "Okay," I said, suddenly nervous. "I'm not asking you to marry me," Isaiah said quickly, reading my expression. "I know it's too soon for that. But I want you to know that I see a future with you. A real future. And I want to make sure you see the same thing." "I do," I said softly. "I see it too." "Good," Isaiah said, relaxing. "Because I'm falling more in love with you every day, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't alone in that." "You're not alone," I said, reaching for his hand. "I love you too." It was the first time either of us had said those words. They hung in the air between us, precious and important. "I love you," Isaiah said again, like he was testing how it felt. "I really love you." "I really love you too," I said, laughing at how nervous we both were. We sat there on my porch, holding hands and smiling like fools, and I felt complete in a way I never had before. 6 months later, Isaiah's lease was up on his apartment. "I've been looking at new places," he said one evening over dinner at my house. "Find anything good?" I asked. "Actually, I was wondering," Isaiah said, looking at me with those warm eyes. "What would you think about me moving in here? With you?" My heart skipped. "Really? Really?" Isaiah said. "If you're not ready, that's okay. But I hate leaving here every night. I want to wake up next to you. I want to build a life with you. In this house that you love so much." "Yes," I said without hesitation. "Yes, I want that too." Isaiah moved in a month later. It was strange at first, sharing my space that had been just mine for so long. But it was also wonderful. Having someone to cook with every night. Someone who brought his own touches to the house. His books on the shelves. His plants in the window. His blueprints spread across the dining table when he was working on a project. The house felt fuller. Happier. Like it had been waiting for him all along. One morning, 6 months after Isaiah moved in, I woke up to find him already in the kitchen making breakfast. The smell of coffee and bacon filled the house. Sunlight streamed through the windows. I could hear birds singing in the garden. I stood in the doorway of my kitchen, watching the man I loved cooking in my house, our house, and felt overwhelming gratitude. Gratitude for Mrs. Patterson, who gave me a place to stay. Gratitude for my coworkers who became my family. Gratitude for Simone, who fought for me. Gratitude for the courage I found to leave a toxic situation. Gratitude for this house that gave me stability and peace. Gratitude for Isaiah, who loved me without trying to fix me. "You okay?" Isaiah asked, noticing me standing there. "I'm perfect," I said honestly. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "Come eat," Isaiah said with a smile. "I made your favorite." As I sat down at my kitchen table in my house with the man I loved, I thought about how far I had come. From that awful day when I discovered the betrayal to this beautiful morning full of peace and love. My family had tried to destroy me. They had tried to make me believe I was nothing without them. They had tried to take everything from me. But they had failed. I had built a life so full of love and joy and purpose that they couldn't touch it. I had proved them wrong in the best way possible, by being happy without them. And that, I realized, was the sweetest revenge of all. Not hurting them, but building a life so beautiful they couldn't ruin it. Not getting even, but getting better. Not looking back, but moving forward into a future I had created with my own hands. I bought my own house after everyone betrayed me. And now, sitting in that house with my chosen family and the man I loved, I had everything I ever needed. I was home.